Discover our new look and find yours at Sephora Short Hills. Meet us at the skincare studio for a free mini facial or play with the latest skincare trends from brands like Perricone and Fresh. Visit today, now on the lower level near guest services, and experience the beauty of Sephora.
The following advertisement has been paid for by the big guy Ryback. Are you hungry? You know I'm so hungry, big guy. Hey, Mark. What brings you here? So I'm just here to hang out with my all-time favorite superstar of all time. What brings you here? Well, I'm doing a paid advertisement for Feed Me More Nutrition, available at feedmemore.com. Big guy, that is music to my ears. Did you tell the people about your Ice So Hungry grass-fed whey protein isolate, the best tasting protein on the market? Wake Up Unlimited Energy, the strongest pre-workout on the market, and the Big Guy all-natural testosterone booster, my personal fave. Big guy, you're on to something with this Feed Me More Nutrition. It is some top quality stuff. Well, thank you, Mark. It is. Feed Me More Nutrition. Premium, quality, the highest quality supplements on the market today. Available now at feedmemore.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, and right now, I'd like to introduce...
Whoa. A guy who lost his smile. A guy who took his brain and walked away from millions of dollars. He hails from Sin City. Damn it! That's enough for you two. Shut up! You're I think he said we're fired. Shut up! Pat, slap my ass! It's time for conversation with the big guy, pal!
Wake up! It's feeding time! Welcome to Conversation with the Big Guy. I am the big guy Ryback, and I'm sitting here with the one, Pat Buck.
And we're back again after a great week of positive feedback from the last episode, which we will delve into shortly. But first, let's be professional broadcasters, and let's. I think you got some things you might want to talk about or mention.
Yeah, I got Wake Up, It's Feeding Time, the motivational book by the big guy Ryback, available now on Amazon in Kindle and paperback form, also coming out on Audible in February. Feed Me More Nutrition, available at feedmemore.com and I'llPumpYouUp.com. Also available in Las Vegas at Spartan Nutrition and Pumped Up Fitness Nutrition on Sahara and Rainbow. Check it out if you live locally. Also, Friday, February 10th, WrestlePro, Starland Ballroom, The Machine Brian Cage versus the big guy Ryback. Bell time 8 p.m., meet and greet 6 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Good job. And Saturday, February 11th, WrestlePro in Brooklyn, New York. Meet and greet with the big guy Ryback, I believe, right?
Yep, you and Jake the Snake.
And
no
Gabby Castrovinci too, or no?
Which is better known as, what was her name? Raquel or Rachel? I don't know. If you want me to add her, I will. If that's
I can't put you on the spot with that on here, so.
I think you just told the listeners, and they want to know why would she be added to the show?
Well, I talk to her occasionally just with the Feed Me More Nutrition.
Okay. That's it?
I reached out to her about a possible sponsorship, asshole.
Okay.
And she's a 5% athlete. So, and that contract's not up for a few months, but she inquired, as we know, January and February are slower months. And
yes,
notoriously across the board. And I go, well, let me ask Pat if he has any openings, in which you replied, fuck no. I'm already over budget because of you, asshole. And so I said, okay. And no, I'm kidding. But it's a week before this show, so it's totally understandable.
Which is the reason why you are not wrestling on Brooklyn, so could only afford the day and a half rate. But come to February 11th to WrestlePro9.com, which we just plugged. If you want to be a wrestler, you like the stuff you're listening to, you live in the New York, New Jersey area, you want to be a wrestler, referee, a valet, I don't know what they call all divas is not a term anymore, a female wrestler, come to creativeprowrestling.com. 2 schools, one in Hicksville, one in Rahway. And if you're a promoter that runs shows, well, you need a fucking ring. So please hit me up at WrestleProOnline@yahoo.com. If you want to rent a ring, rent my equipment, run a show, I don't know, all that jazz. I should write this stuff out. I'll sound a little bit more professional. Again, WrestleProOnline@yahoo.com. Okay, so I think we want to start off with, we got some reviews from last week, and we made the promise that we'd read the funniest ones.
Before you go to the reviews, can I add one more thing in there? I forgot.
Sure.
It's the P.O. box that I don't want to leave that out because it's on my social media. But guys, for all fan mail, for myself or just anything you want to write in, or if you want anything signed, I ask you to limit it to 1 or 2 things. The P.O. box is 752-740 Las Vegas, Nevada 89136. And you can make that out to the big guy or to Ryback or Ryback Reeves, whatever you prefer. And I always get
Mr. For Life,
or Mark for life, and I will get back to you. So thank you guys. I'm honestly, I love reading your letters and hearing the cool stories, and it means a lot to me. So thank you.
Do you know I've had your P.O. box used against me in terms of negotiations for your appearances? It happened once.
What do you mean?
So basically, obviously, we've said in the show before, I kind of handle your outside, booking in an agent or manager type role, and a lot of times
you are my manager, like full blown.
Yeah, pretty much. It's fun actually, and a big congratulations, dare I say, we've convinced Wade Barrett to take a British tour. He's doing a speaking gig like you did over in England. And he's going to be doing commentary for What Culture Pro Wrestling. And he has a hell of an agent, too, that being myself.
How have I not been booked by What Culture Pro Wrestling yet?
I know why. Here's why. And I've been doing this lately, if you've noticed in our email system. When you announced that you were leaving, we got flooded and flooded beyond belief. So there was a lot of emails that conflicted with the dates that I put you on the stuff already. And they were one of them. So I have a feeling it's coming in the future.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's promotions that were like, hey, I need you for here. You already had the date. And some of them I just didn't know about. I was unaware of what culture until Cody started working with them. I really didn't.
And in all seriousness, I remember, because I have access to the email. I always laugh, though, when they think they're talking to me and they're talking to you. That's always my favorite. It happens a lot, by the way, where they're like, thanks, Ryan, or thanks, Ryback. And I'm like, and I'll see it's like 5 or 6,
replies
emails deep, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not, they think it, and I'm like, no, we openly acknowledge you handle all this. Mm-hmm. I don't pay you for me to answer the emails. Even though there is, every once in a while, I will occasionally hop on if it's something that's that's not financial, for an interview, and I'll go, Pat, let's go ahead and do this just so you see it or something, but.
No, that's what I understand when the first time, maybe the second time, but I distinctly write back, hey, this I go, well, he needs this, and this from Pat Buck. And then a lot of them will have conversation and still revert back. Yeah, it's not like a one-time thing where I'm like, are they trying to role play that they're talking to you? It's kind of strange.
How about the Saudi Arabian guy that for the Iraq gym appearance?
Jesus.
Who he just wanted to talk to me, and and as soon as you gave him the number or whatever for him to call you, as soon as he heard your voice, he hung up.
Dude, and just for fans to know this, there's a lot of big business for a lot of international tours, and they happen in Abu Dhabi. We've heard of things in Saudi Arabia. WWE does Sold Show in Saudi Arabia, so sometimes other people run other countries. And they don't have the best communication skills. So when emails come in, they go, hey, we want to book you for Saudi Arabia. As much as you want to go, this doesn't sound legit, you still have to kind of lend an ear to it and go, oh, this might be a really good paying, decent thing. And for example, there's a promotion called QPW, and they run out of Sudan and Abu Dhabi, and they put you on a poster. They were advertising you for this upcoming summer. And I contacted the promoter. I was like, why is this happening? And he spoke in very broken English, and it eventually went nowhere, but basically there was an email that came in asking for your gym appearance. And I'm like, okay, I'll entertain it. I wrote back, and he wanted a phone number very badly. So I gave him a phone number, just like you said. And I was driving home, and my car starts ringing. It says Saudi Arabia. And I was like scared. I pressed pick up. I'm like, hello? And the guy just yells something and then hangs up. I'm like, oh, shit. It's kind of scary.
So R-Truth, who is one of my favorite people, we were over in Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia, and he came up to me, and me and him always would talk, and like he's such a good guy, and nobody will ever say anything bad about R-Truth.
Yeah, I've never heard anything bad ever.
And by the way, in this day and age where like crowds boo people and like they don't like to cheer the good guys sometimes, and like R-Truth is never booed. He comes out. It doesn't matter when he comes out. The music hits, and sometimes crowds are dead later on in the night. But like he's never booed. He does his routine. He knows his shtick, and like and it works every single time. And he's one of my favorite. Like if you knew him, you would appreciate him greatly. But he came up to me one time over in Abu Dhabi, I think, and I guess a Prince. At one of the shows, like we'd had the bought shows over there. Okay, and it's all the families that come with the oil. They own the oil over there. Oh wow! And like they're rich on like a whole other.
Now is it like full crowds or is it just like kind of private?
Hit or miss. Some of the shows were like great, and some were like we'd be at the same place for 3 nights sometimes at a nice huge tennis stadium, and like some nights were like. They would get there like the final like half of the card would be packed, but the first half was like scattered. Okay, and like it's weird. And then we did a daytime show where it was like hardly anybody there, and then as the sun started going down, it was like like sold out.
Wow! Like, is there weird rules there though? I've heard things before. Like, is there certain things you can and can't do?
Yeah, and I'm not exactly 100% sure on them, but I know like tattoos are an issue, and I don't have any tattoos.
Okay. And they have to cover up if they have tattoos. Is that it?
That, or if you have a vagina, you gotta fuck. Yeah,
they cut your head off.
Yeah, they go and they behead you, and no, like the divas don't usually go on the tour, or they do. I know like Alicia Fox went on one eventually, and like she was only allowed to go out and like do like a promo or something, or like she wasn't even allowed to wrestle. It's like. Crazy how some of these other countries have these different beliefs and whatnot. But so no Divas Revolution over in Abu Dhabi.
Not yet.
Not yet. But they R-Truth, a Prince approached him, and like he goes, Ryback, what should I do? This guy's offered me a lot of money to like come to his kid's birthday party and like dance and sing or some shit like that. And I was like, do it. Why not? Like, he was like, well, what if they like keep me? I go, they'll probably take care of you really well. Like, I go, it can't be any worse than working for WWE. So what? They keep you in a cage for half the day. The rest of the fucking day, they fucking treat you like a goddamn king. Fucking run with it. What is wrong with you?
R-Truth walks away from WWE contract to work for Saudi Arabian birthday parties.
Oh, I would not. He has I guarantee you, he has that guy's contact still and sends out feelers every once in a while to stay in good graces. Guarantee it. He's smart like that. He definitely would.
Oh man. So we're starting off already telling stories, but we had reviews. We promised we'd read them. So these were some of the ones that came in this week. Again, we appreciate all the reviews. We're getting a good amount of them. This one said, dope podcast. I appreciate that. From Bunny Ben. And
thank you.
It said, while listening to this week's episode, I was driving and ran into another car, tearing my hamstring to the point I couldn't walk. Cops were on the scene, EMTs came, and they took me to the local hospital. I told them my hamstring was torn, but they didn't listen. They would only say, "You're such a beast." Trying to find the source of the injury, they were messing with my hips, my knees, and pulled on my leg. So they were pulling my leg, and I'm pulling your leg. I love the podcast, bros. Keep it coming, Dr. Ben. I thought that was pretty creative.
That was good.
The other one that stood out to me, whoa, that's not a review, that's the poster, is I want to win free stuff from Tank 5319. I started on episode 1 listening to my favorite wrestler, and Ryback was there too. It has been fun to hear
Very
them.
good.
It has been fun to hear them progress and sound less and less drunk as they regale us with tales of the glamorous life of being a wrestler, promoting supplements, and a wrestling school. The passion and honesty from both is truly refreshing and makes for a grand time, whether it helps me get through my 3:15 a.m. wake-up call to be at work for 5. When people ask me why am I smiling at work, it's because I'm listening to another episode of Conversation with the Big Guy. Well, now it's time to cut a heel promo on someone. Enough of this babyface crap. And that's from Tank5319. Those are my two favorites.
That is that's very good, and I think to note, we talked about this before early on. I don't know if it was our first 16 or 17 episodes, but we talked about we recorded them in sessions of 5 and 6 sessions.
Sure.
And it was not easy, and we used that night because we did them initially hanging out together when I'd come back east, and we'd come back there and we'd get together and knock these out. And I don't know, we've talked about this. You even mentioned today, you're like, I think maybe we should knock out 2 this week because I got to fly out early next week for the show, and I got a busy week. And I go, no, we'll figure it out. We'll do it next week because it's so much better when it's just live, like as far as current with that week, and we're fresh for this. And when you got to do multiple episodes in a row like that, it's tough for the listeners sometimes, even though we're talking about different subjects. I just think they don't, and obviously we do like to enjoy some red wine during the podcast. And, 1 episode is fine, 2 is fine, 3, 4, and 5, you're going to notice a little bit of a difference, as we've witnessed in the past. So.
Yeah,
Thank you for that great review.
Liver failure too. I also want to. We want to eventually start doing this through a Google Hangout. We're eventually going to start looking into that, where you guys can join us actually as we're normally recording this on Thursday nights, even though it goes up on a Monday. I know that. Sorry guys, but it's 11:30 my time and it's 8:30 your time. But we're going to look into having us so we can kind of get some live stuff going for the people that really care about the show.
Vince Russo does the Google Hangouts, which his podcast is. I just did his podcast. It's in 2 parts. Part 1 is out now. I think part 2 is just released or getting ready to get released. And he has a hell of a podcast. So check Vince Russo out, you guys, on the brand and on iTunes. But he does the Google Hangouts.
Okay,
that's how that's what put that in my head. I was like, because I got my YouTube channel, and a few people have messaged me like, why aren't you doing more with your YouTube channel? And it's something I do want to do, and I actually touch on this. I know where you're going with all this, which I'll let you finish and go ahead and get into what we need to get to, and then I'll talk about that later, actually.
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to get into,
Google Hangouts is good.
We have positive feedback, but someone was not very happy with last episode, and I thought it would be, it was kind of a bummer to wake up to this, but then I kind of understand, but I kind of want to call someone out or address feedback from last show because I think that's kind of a responsible thing to do. I
was telling you too, though, and you're gonna, and not on a daily basis, but I'll get an idiot from time to time who's never met me that just wants to insult me, and it's just it sucks. It's part of life, and you just got to block it out and move on. But I saw this guy. I know exactly who you're talking about. Who and I could tell he was going to go on a tear for the entire day or for however long until he wanted to be recognized.
Yeah, he needs to be heard.
He was the quote unquote fat person looking for attention that day, and I said that in quotes. So I muted him right away. I was like, I don't want to hear this guy, and because after you told me what he said and like. He had already misquoted something that I'd said, and I was just like, it's not even worth.
To explain the story, so basically we shared a little, he actually left a positive review on our show, and I think I have this a lot with I've noticed a couple of people that kind of get, in too deep or become such supporters of something that they're quick to kind of turn on them really quickly. And he left a 5-star review. It seemed like a nice guy. But I also noticed this one guy was complaining about the audio. I'm like, okay, no big deal. We're not professionals. We're figuring this out. Eddie does a great job, editing this podcast and making.
Is our audio bad? I always thought we had decent audio for it.
I think
we
it's
got
fine.
Great equipment. And
he said that you were like a little bit lower than I was, and we should fix that. I'm like, okay, I don't have the exact quote right, but it was something along the lines of, hey, you should do this. No big deal, whatever. And I noticed he always tweets to you. I only noticed this because I went back because of the feedback he left. And he'll say things like, hey, hello, how are, kind of fanboy things. Totally acceptable, totally fine. But I said the story last week about the fan that kind of had that big scene at Creative Pro that, she was... she came in through
Rosemary.
Yeah, but the thing is that he hung on. You're not helping this conversation. I'll tell you why. So basically, he wrote. I won't read the guy's name, but he said your newest podcast was disappointing. You guys get too caught up in yourselves and lose the relative aspects. So I'm like, okay, this is the first feedback I wake up to. Normally, it's relatively positive. Here we go. The comments of all fat people feel entitled was contradictory to the positive message beyond past episodes.
Did I say all fat people? I could have sworn I didn't say all.
You did not. You said a lot.
Yes.
Yes. And you went on, because when I read that, I went, man, are we assholes? I listened back to the episode, and the place we're coming from, first of all, out of all the things, let me finish this guy's thing, and then we'll revisit why he's horseshit. The whole fat lady story felt like you two were dehumanizing her because she isn't leading a life like you two. There's also a difference between promoting your products and just openly filleting yourself. Calm down on that. The only reason I even say this is because if I were in your shoes, I'd want to know that I came off like a dick. You guys are better than that.
You know what? His fat fucking feet wouldn't fit in our shoes to begin with.
I said,
add to the fire. I'm hot.
If you were in my shoes, you'd be on a treadmill right now. But here's the thing. Look, we have friends and family that are, out of all the things we said about that.
My entire side of my dad's family is fat. And I love them all. It's not got people. I talk about it in my book. If you want to be average and out of shape, that's okay. It's totally okay. But don't get upset at us for talking about for people that do want to change their lives. And don't misquote us on top of that.
And there's a big difference between, being heavy or being a little out of shape than the person that came. We weren't picking on this lady for being everything was against her. If
she worked out for 3 hours a day and looked like that, I would have, and she wasn't looking for attention, I'd have no problem with her. Because there are people with true conditions that are just not physically as lean as they should be or anything because of their conditions.
Yeah.
But they bust their ass and they eat healthy. Those people do exist.
Sure.
But it's few and far between. The majority aren't like that.
Most of them.
This one clearly wasn't.
Well, here's the thing, too, is that, I was trying to set the scene last week. I was like, did we just pick on her? I know it's hilarious, a chair broke, but what happened was, we had a sign up that said, we're sold out. She ignored that. She walked right in. We said, we're sorry, we have no chairs. She kind of was moping at that. She came out to complain about having no chairs, even though we told her it was sold out. We got her a fucking chair because her knees were hurting.
A pay-per-view chair, mind you, that she left.
Yeah, that she left there. I mean,
yeah.
Just like and it wasn't even like, hey, could you get me this? I'm a little tired. If you're nice and look, we all have our things. I've gotten picked on my whole life for having red hair. I'm a ginger. Who cares? Roll with it. Doesn't really.
You know what, too? I think, and I said this earlier today, and this is very, very true, and I really do believe this. And anybody that's met me at the meet and greets and I give you what you give me. I'm the nicest person in the world. But if somebody comes at me with an attitude and tries to attack me or has just any sort of attitude whatsoever, don't expect and there's times when I do try to reciprocate with kindness, but if you just keep giving me that, you're going to get punched in the face eventually, and not literally punched in the face, but you got to give people back what they give sometimes to show them quit acting like an asshole.
Yeah.
And I think this is exactly that case where the lady walking in with regardless of what she looks like, she's coming in with an attitude,
yes,
an entitled attitude, and you bent over backwards for her, and she still was that way. So that is what this is about, and people need to understand.
Even more so when the thing happened and she hurt her leg, she's faking an injury, she's not fucking hurt. She's talking about suing a place. She has a leg that's hairier than like she was not taking care of herself. Her body. You only get one body. You got to take care of it.
Yeah.
Like,
let's be honest. If you're a woman with hairy legs, unless it's like part of like your beliefs or anything like that, like that's a sign of laziness.
but yeah, like take care of yourself. And the thing is that the way you broke it down last episode,
I should have wrote about that in my book. Shave your legs.
shave your 5 pages.
That'll be for part 2. That'll be the longest section.
And do we sound like a couple of assholes? I would think in a way, yes. But the thing is,
Who cares?
Who cares?
Who
Just
cares?
Be the best you can be. Like, just fucking, take care of your but the whole thing is here with this guy is,
if the fact that he didn't hear my fired up motivational speech at the end of that is
Yeah.
the most concerning. He chose to just be like, and like, what about the self promotion? What the hell is he talking about on that?
so it's okay we can't tell a story about, that thing last week, but he can openly say, we need to stop blowing ourselves, filleting ourselves, and we need to calm down on that. A whole podcast exists for promotion. Like, it's just kind of a thing, and
Yeah.
we'll squeeze. We have businesses we're trying to run. Like, it's
Is he
just
talking about like the supplements? Because they're the best goddamn supplements on the market today. If he's talking about Feed Me More Nutrition available at feedmemore.com and I'llpumpyouup.com and Spartan Nutrition in Las Vegas and Pumped Up Fitness Nutrition in Las Vegas, I don't know what his goddamn problem is. It's supplements that I believe in. They're the best premium quality supplements on the market today. Why wouldn't I talk about them?
Now, this guy, this is why I think he said this too. We struck a chord with him because I think he happens to be a bigger guy, a heavier guy and I think I cut a chord with him, and he felt angry that we said something that he didn't necessarily agree with. So he attacked us to let us know we came across like dicks and we're better than that. And we dehumanized a girl because she wasn't leading a life. Look, she was kind of a jerk. That's kind of why. So
She was an asshole to begin with. That's the whole point of the story. And also, you know what? I talked about this today a little bit. I was talking to Gabby earlier about this, Castrovinci, if you were wondering. How many references could I get of Gabby in this podcast now that I know she listens? That people with low self-esteem they think that confidence is a sign of arrogance because they have a very low self-esteem. And I've seen case after case of that, and we're not ridiculing anyone for being overweight or anything like that, but like it's more of the lady was an asshole to begin with, and I gave a fired up speech about wanting her to fix her life, because her life clearly was not ideal, and anyone who says otherwise is out of the loop and doesn't know. So
that's that. I won't mention the guy's name, but I wish him well. If he still listens, which he's going to still listen, but obviously,
and if you don't, that's okay, buddy. If you don't want to listen anymore, nobody's going to be mad at you.
We're okay with that. So that was the feedback for the last episode. Catching up to speed this week. We mentioned talking about, week in review. We had the Rumble last week.
Before we get into that, I think it's important to know to encourage reviews for people that do enjoy the show.
Yes.
Did you want to get into?
We
have a giveaway every week.
We got to pick. We got to be better at this. We got to pick which one was your favorite review. Which one?
We start by doing it right now. I think we could start it for this week, or you want to start it this week?
Well, we said last week that they would get a free shaker bottle and a free towel. I don't know if you remember that.
No, that's absolutely. Then we need to. Yes,
so,
I do remember that. I'm upping the prize from now on. I think we need more.
Okay, so continue your reviews, and those people, I'm going to pick. Which one do you want to pick? The review with.
I don't. So I liked this. What was the second one?
The second one, the headline was he wants free stuff and that it helps him get him through work in the morning, and the other one was that he hurt his hamstring.
The other one was good, but that was really creative and everything too. I like that second one though, that we get him through because I've heard that from multiple people.
Okay.
That when they're driving or going at work and it makes their shift a lot easier. So
Tank,
that is our winner.
Tank 5319. Congratulations on your new shaker bottle, and your Feed Me More towel, I believe.
Please email the big guy at feedmemore.com, and we will get that all straightened out for you. But moving forward, I have decided that I think we need a little bit more of a prize for the good reviews, or for whatever reviews you choose to leave. And moving forward, we will do one Feed Me More Nutrition supplement of your choice and a free Feed Me More Nutrition T-shirt. So that will be the prize moving forward.
Okay.
For the good reviews.
For the good reviews or most creative reviews, whatever you want to do.
Or if you want to leave 5 stars and leave a really funny shitty comment, I'm okay with a shitty comment as long as you give it 5 stars.
So it's been a week. What's going on with you? I had a couple things from the dirt sheets, but not really that many. But the last episode was pre-Rumble, which you were not number 26, yeah. Unfortunately.
I was gonna get into that with you. I was just gonna ask you how your week was going before we got into all that.
It's been good, man. It's been a lot of training. I'm proud today because I officially did 131 burpees as opposed to your 130. So I feel very tired and proud.
I tricked you. I told you I did 130, and I did at the gym earlier. But I also did 2 when I got home just because I knew you were going to do. I set you up earlier to do 131 at the gym, and then I did 2 later. Granted, my time, if you add in the total time, you beat me in time.
Okay.
But I did do 132. Me and Darren Young and some of the Nexus guys were at Hooters years ago at WrestleMania in Arizona, and me and Darren Young got into a chicken wing eating contest at Hooters.
Okay.
And I'll never forget this. We were all like the new guys. We hadn't debuted. This is a funny story, by the way. And I love my chicken wings, but I'll use like ranch and blue cheese, and I'll drench them in that,
Yeah.
And we were drinking that night. It was like a cheat night essentially. And he was just eating plain wings. So, but not to it's still impressive either way. I was just I'm getting more calories with the ranch, but I love the taste of ranch and blue cheese.
Okay.
And we were tied 90 wings to 90 wings or something like that. And
these are the Hooters naked wings, correct?
Yeah, the Hooters naked wings. And while he wasn't paying attention, I got the cook to bring me out 1 wing. And I beat him 91 to 90. I'm very competitive. And it wasn't worth the trouble for him to ask for 2. I knew it defeated him that I waited just enough time before we paid the check. And but a funny story, the funnier is that Pat Patterson was sitting out on the patio deck, and to get out of the fucking Hooters, you had to walk past that area.
Okay.
And anybody that knows anything about WWE, when you're new up there, and if you stay at a TV hotel and you see producers or Mark Carano sitting in the bar,
yeah,
lonely drinking his miserable life away, not the producers but Mark, and when you're early on in that, if they see hey Ryback, come have a drink with us, no thank you guys. Now early on when you're new up there, you don't want to offend anybody,
so you have to do it. Yeah.
And so we're thinking we're terrified Pat's gonna ask us all to sit down, and Wade was with us and a few of the other guys, and we just wanted to get the fuck out of there and go back to the hotel. And we literally probably stalled an hour of sitting at the bar drinking before we got okay, we're just gonna get up, we'll keep moving. If he stops, whoever he stops, they have to stay. The rest of it, and he stopped somebody, I can't remember who, and I think it was Wade of all people, and because he was probably the most over at the time during the NXT stuff, and the rest of us got out of there, and Wade caught up shortly thereafter. So
man,
it was always a funny time.
Speaking of Pat Patterson, I actually had a interesting story. This flows nicely about something that I didn't tell you what happened on Saturday night. I was
Wait, you had sex with Pat Patterson?
No, but it's I know this is far fetched, but so I was asked to leave a bar because of something I did. Now, yeah.
When was this?
This was Saturday. So I go to dinner with my wife and another couple, her friends in the area, a great couple we're friends with. And we have dinner, good time. And I live in a really active area, like right outside the city. Tons of shit going on, man. So we decided to go to a bar. We went to one cool bar, and then we found out that there's a speakeasy across the street. Have you ever been to a speakeasy?
No.
Okay, so like what they are is some of them are cool, some of them are not so cool, but basically the theme is like in the Prohibition area in like the 1920s that alcohol was illegal, and there was speakeasies were like hidden bars where you have to like knock on the door and give like a password, and you were allowed to go into the basement and you drank there. So they were like hidden bars away from the cops because you couldn't drink because alcohol was illegal.
I have heard of this now that I do remember learning about this in school.
Yeah, so whatchamacallit. So we went to a speakeasy, and that's in my area. We're like, oh yeah, we'll go. So we go there, and we walk downstairs, and the guy that lets us in, he's kind of a flamboyant dude. And
is it like the Wizard of Oz, like the little like door where you got to like they open it like
actually it's
you
pretty
just see their eyes?
It's a cool idea. It's a hardware store. So it's like when you walk in, you think you're walking into like a tool store, like legit like hammers and nails in the wall, like and it's a front, and then you go down past a wall downstairs, and then you're in the bar. It's a cool concept.
Whoa.
So I go down there, and we're thinking it's gonna be like this like really cool hip scene, and it wasn't. We go downstairs, and it's kind of like it's just a big regular bar, and everyone's kind of really quiet. There's like shitty music playing. And you're not allowed to stand up at the bar for some reason. You have to sit at your table the whole time. It's really weird. So we get a table, and we're sitting there. And now we've been having fun the whole night. My Lauren and my wife and the couple we're with, we're drinking, but we're like, man, this bar is pretty boring. And for some strange reason, we just decide, hey, let's just start playing Truth or Dare. It wasn't my idea. It was Lauren's wife's friend.
Yeah,
and it got
is this like a swingers thing or
it's
something?
Not. It sounds
between
like
this and the Bang Bangs. I feel like you're living this entire like when you're married. You just like it's like everything just changes when you're married.
No, so we're just all kind of having fun, and she goes, "I dare you to touch someone's butt in here," and I go, fuck," and I'm already way drunk at this point. I've had a couple drinks.
Hey, aren't you Pat Buck from Conversation with the Big Guy? Why'd you?
So I
just
drank
my ass.
I already had, I think, 2 glasses of wine. I had a couple beers, and now I'm drinking some fancy, old-fashioned, muddled drink from the speakeasy. So I go, you know what? The flamboyant guy walks by me. So I go, here's my plan. I'm going to go, kind of like when you say, like, I don't know, and your hands go up. I'm going to go, hey, excuse me, can you send the waitress over? That way I kind of touch his butt without touching his butt, because I want to get the dare down.
Oh, that's...
Pretty
that
slick.
Guy's not getting but he's clearly not going to think that's an accident.
But I'm sitting there with my wife, and we talk to the guy too. Like it's totally, fine.
Okay.
So I go, hey, excuse me, sir, and I do that, and I think I did a little bit too hard. I don't know my strength, and he turned around and he turned bright red, and he cuts a promo on me, and he's like,
oh no,
did you just slap me on the ass? He's like, How dare you? He's like, you're a bigger guy. If someone that's you, you'd knock them out. I'm just a server here, blah, blah, blah. I think he overheard the girl saying, I dare you to do that. Oh. So I'm just staring at this guy like, okay, you can calm down. I'm like, look, relax, man. I'm like, I'm just trying to get the waitress. Like, I'm trying to get.
Do other people like hear this promo being cut?
Not really, because it's so loud, kind of loud. Okay. But our table certainly does.
I would have just ran out to avoid hearing that.
So I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't really feel that bad right now. But then he's like, he's like, whatever, man. It's just not cool. And he storms off. And I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, give me the check.
Did you got kicked out of the bar for slapping a man's ass?
I think it almost got to that point. I saw him walk away and go to the bartender. I'm like, they're probably going to try to throw me out or ask me to leave. So I paid my bill, and we left, and I went home.
Okay. Wait, so you didn't get kicked out. I feel better about this.
I didn't
you
get
left
kicked
on
out.
Your own accord.
Okay. I didn't get kicked out, but I did. I touched a man's butt, and I got in trouble for it. I got yelled at. So
he got a promo, man, and you really can't say anything about that because you did slap a man's ass.
I did not slap a man's ass. It was right above his belt, and I went, "Excuse me, sir, can I get the waitress?" And he heard the girl, and dude, this guy was fired up. I was kind of impressed. I was like, this guy. He's like, I can't do anything to you. He's like, you would probably kill me, but I was like, holy shit, this guy is it. Clearly he has
He had this promo ready. Promo was written already.
And I think he's, a very repressed human being. So I will not be going back to that Speakeasies. Basically, that was my Saturday night. So,
man, that is, I just, if I were you, I would have just said, "Sir, you're not my type," and then left just to get the final, one-upmanship on him. But well, I'm glad you weren't officially kicked out. My week wasn't quite as exciting. I've been busy with everything going on with the Feed Me More Nutrition, and we're getting ready. Did I tell you we're gonna actually because everything's gone so well, we're releasing the Fat Burner like probably about 4 months ahead of schedule, and Shell Shock fully loaded Extreme Fat Burner, and it's in production here, getting ready to go into production. It's in the final stages, so. It's I'm excited about that, but
maybe explain. I mean, I think since we talk about this stuff, kind of give a layman's terms on what a fat burner really is. 'Cause I think a lot of people have never touched that stuff. To be honest with you,
just know like as far as, and I don't want to get into like a huge promotional thing or anything, but
sure.
Like with a lot of like ephedra was really popular back in the day, and
like Stack or Two,
yeah, with some of those things, and a lot of people. Don't understand that ephedra not good for you though, and it makes you feel bad. And like for men, like it shrinks your dick. Like if you're like a man and take ephedra, like it just makes there's just so many, and it makes your heart rate pound out of your chest and
makes you very jittery.
It's just a very unnatural feeling. But they have another form of ephedra out now. It's not nearly as potent as it used to be.
Okay,
and I knew because I took it when I was younger, not knowing it was bad for me, and. It's just not worth it. But I, over the years, to stay as lean as I am at my body weight, anywhere from 275 to 290, give or take the month, that like it takes proper nutrition, but also supplementation. And I've discovered things. So like a lot of these companies, they'll put a proprietary blend. Proprietary blends aren't bad, but they're used to protect the formula, so other supplement companies don't copy you. But people think that But a lot of people think that you're like hiding information. They have all the ingredients listed. You're not hiding anything. Mm-hmm. What you're hiding is the total milligrams used.
Okay.
So that the other companies don't copy you verbatim for what you're doing, and. So a lot of these companies, so their proprietary blends, though, are very low. And like they'll have a few cool things in there, but it's not at the dosage that it needs to be to actually work efficiently. And so what I've done is I found a lot of different natural things that work, along with things like green tea extract, green coffee bean extract, cool cayenne pepper, which doesn't burn your stomach. It actually has an ingredient in it that cools it so that you don't get the burning effect, but you get the fat-burning properties. Apple cider vinegar powder. Amazing at burning body fat. And so it's fully loaded is because we have so many supplements packed into these tablets. It works from many different ways, and it doesn't have any harmful stimulants or anything like that. It has minimal caffeine, and but it does have a little. I've been using this throughout my career, these different ingredients, and we're putting it into one formula now, and it's going to be called Shell Shock Fully Loaded Extreme Fat Burner. and I couldn't be more excited. It is the growth of Feed Me More Nutrition has been just off the charts to kick off, and I can't thank the people enough for trying it out and giving it a fair shake. So I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
All right, cool. So to go from here, we did have a kind of a topic for the show, although we did have other things with. I tried something different this week. We may want to touch on, but because I had words with someone online.
Well, I was going to tell you too. I didn't even get into it. I got a meeting on Monday.
Okay.
With this, I'm going. So I'm switching over to a social media team now. To get rid of doing my social media.
Sure.
I'm just. I don't want to do it. Yeah. I need my time to do other things. And I got a meeting with Britney. They work with Britney Spears, of all people, and a couple other. I can't remember who else, but I think it's going to be pretty cool, and mostly to utilize Facebook for advertising. so I don't have to use my social media like Twitter and Instagram as much.
And Britney Spears is in Vegas, isn't she? Like permanently?
Shit. Yeah. But Dolph Ziggler's a huge fan of Britney.
I think I'm a big fan too. I got a couple songs. By a couple, I mean probably 20 on my phone.
I think I got four songs of hers on my phone also. I always feel weird. By the way, I know what I wanted to talk about before we got into all the
Batista's
dirt
theme
sheet
song.
review. Yeah. Is when fans, the Randy Orton incident in the gym. Remember, like I heard something on that where like a fan approached him in the gym.
Yeah.
And I guess he like cut a promo on them. And I apologize for my coughing, guys. My voice, it's from the weekend shows. It just, when I'm working 4 or 5 nights a week, my voice will kind of level out. When I do 1 or 2 a week or every other week, it's a little rougher. Today's a good day, believe it or not. But that fan with Randy cutting the promo and it got a little bit of attention. I always I think for me, I've gotten people when I'm in the gym. I know I've told you this, but I don't think I've publicly said this in anything. My first hour in the gym, I always have my meditation on.
Yeah.
It's my custom meditation from Holosync by Bill Harris, where I have my own affirmations and I can't hear them, but it's just very soothing, relaxing music. And I do that while I do my stretching and my warm-ups and then the first half of my workout. So anybody that comes up to me in the gym when those are on, it interrupts that in my thought process of what I'm trying to then. And so I've had people that come up to me when I have it on and I just go, not right now, please. Not right now, please. In a little bit. And I've had people get mad at me.
Sure.
And I've never said fuck off or anything rude to anybody, but some people just they don't understand. And that's my time and I'm not going to sacrifice my time. But I remember the Randy thing got a lot of attention. And I wanted to talk to you what your thoughts were on that too. Working out in the gym. I don't think a lot of people think about that. Especially for wrestlers or people that are celebrities, that they don't have that much me time to begin with. And when you're in the gym, you want to be able to do your thing. And some people, I've had people when I'm in the middle, I've had 500 pounds on my back squatting for reps and had people come in excuse me, and I've been in the middle of burpees, full blown, where they come up and just stand there and they go, excuse me, while I'm doing burpees. They expect me, and I just think it's something fans need to be respect a wrestler when he's in that period and just give him his free time. And it's no one's obligation to do anything for you. So.
Huh. Okay. I do remember that story.
Just a random rant.
The other thing, I had a thing this week where and that was over social media. So this is kind of related to this story. So I run a wrestling school. Obviously, I talk about it all the time. And I decided there's a lot of wrestling schools in my area, all over the country. And I really do have confidence in this. I think my schools are two of the best. And I devote my life to it. I'm always doing the drills with the guys. If I'm not there...
I saw it on Facebook, too.
That's what I'm going to talk about. So I'm starting to kind of live feed because a lot of other schools were doing that. And I look at that, and I'm like, man, this is garbage. One thing that comes to mind, I'm not afraid to say it, is that Johnny Rodz, who is a Hall of Famer, and he runs probably the most successful school in New York, because when you type in New York Wrestling School on Google, he comes up. And he's
trained Bill DeMott, I believe, right?
Trained a lot of guys, Taz, Bubba Ray, a lot of, but the 80s and early 90s are a bit different from the way the school's operated now. And I noticed they put out live things of their training thing, and it was fucking embarrassing. And it was and
how so?
It was two guys just rolling around the ring and working the wrong side of the body. It was the equivalent of two backyard guys. I swear to God. It was
okay.
It was $5 wrestling. It was fucking, ridiculous. Yeah. So what I want to do is just put out a couple drills that I do with my students, different submission things, different, I put out a drill that I do it for conditioning. It's called 555. A lot of basic stuff for footwork. And
that was all things we got from OVW and Rip Rogers and kind of guys that Rip, and for people that don't know, Rip Rogers trained some of the all-time WWE greats. That as far as going up there and having success, from a creative standpoint. And but his fundamentals are second to none.
Rip was very good at that. He taught you functional wrestling training, which is what I try to do, where like you're doing drills over and over and over again, but it is actually stuff you'll do in the ring. So one of the drills
you'll teach guys how to be like you'll teach guys how to work and actually, even if you're not used creatively, still be able to make a good living possibly.
Yeah. I'll do my best to just teach whatever I've learned or whatever I know. And, I've learned from mistakes and, but I'm big on conditioning too. And, one guy signed up this week and we did a basic drill and he was puking his guts out in the bathroom, man. It was bad. And then he came back and I did a basic drill with him and then he went to the bathroom again and puked his brains out. But I'm okay with that.
That's cool though. I like that. Yeah.
I like that. I was like, don't worry, man. I was yelling to him from the ring while he's in the bathroom. Like, you're just working hard, keep it up, clean it out and come back out here. And he did.
If that guy keeps up with it, it will go away. And that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully he doesn't stop coming. I like that.
So I put out a drill. It just basically it's a commercial for my school. People, if you want to see it, it's facebook.com/WrestlePro. You can kind of see through all the different stuff we do. And I notice I get most of them are positive comments like, oh, we've never seen stuff like this. This is cool, neat, whatever. Manny the Bull Fernandez. Do you know who that is? He was an NWO wrestler.
Eddie Craven always was trained by him, I believe.
Really?
It was one of Eddie, which was one of my favorite. I don't do it that much up there. Sophie's dripping water on my feet right now. It was a hammerlock, and Eddie gave me this in OVW where you push the guy out and pull him back into you to do whatever you want to do to him. And he said that, like, I always remember Manny Fernandez from that. I don't know if he taught Eddie that.
Okay.
But Eddie always said he was trained by Manny Fernandez. So I always assumed that he got that from him.
That's interesting. So I noticed he leaves a not so nice comments on my WrestlePro Facebook, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Was it really him?
It's really him.
Okay.
And what's even weirder is I wrestled Manny Fernandez in like 2011 in Florida, where I remember I was on a show, and this is Manny Fernandez, the Raging Bull that had the cool mustache. He was kind of a badass in the NWA, and he's older now, and I get that. But so I'm in the locker room, and they're like, hey, will you work with Manny? I go, yeah, of course. And Manny won't talk to me about the match. I'm like, I don't give a shit. It's one of those old timer things, like called in the ring, whatever. Like, I shook his hand. He's like, oh yeah, we're working together. Okay, see ya. I'm like, all right, I don't give a fuck. We didn't even talk about the finish, like nothing. So
yeah,
I'm like, whatever. I'm used to this bullshit. We go out because I've wrestled a lot of old timers. Go out there, we wrestle.
That's the most fun, actually, for a performer not to know. By the way,
because then there's nothing you can mess up, and it's just And
I think shitty wrestling is the best. If it is, like,
and it wasn't very good. This was the match. I remember this because you
can't have any cool like high spots or anything. That's the best part. Like, it's just gonna be like a bunch of basic shit.
It was. He locks up. He brought me to the ropes. He gave me a cheap shot. He shot me off and gave me an elbow, and then he backed up, and then we locked up again, and then I ducked his shot. I shot him off and gave him 2 elbows. That's how the match started. It was very,
all right.
Very basic. So, but he writes.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too.
Your story.
So he writes, and after the match, he couldn't have been. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I should have talked to you, and that was great. Thank you so much. You're fun to work with. I need to book you for my place. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. At the time, I didn't give a shit about anything. I just wanted a fucking NXT job. So Manny writes on my wall, or the thing, he goes, the first thing you teach, all capital letters, like a crazy person, is hitting the ropes, LMFTAO, which I don't know what that means. I know laughing my laughing my fucking ass off, but I don't know what the T means.
Yeah. I don't either.
It's called wrestling, and to impress the guy that could get you to Orlando, he likes it when you don't use the ropes, LOL, but you're a WrestlePro, so you got it down. Question, no punctuation, by the way. Question I have, do you pay your talent $50,000 a year just to train? Well, then you the shit. LMMFTAO. And I'm like, why is he being...
I have a feeling he might have been really, really, really intoxicated when he wrote that.
So I wrote back, hey, it's a cardio conditioning drill, Manny, relax. And he writes, relax, fuck relax, you political correct, and he spells correct, CRRECTE, pussies.
Of course.
And I wrote back, well said. He writes back, relax, I'm just ribbing. LMFTAO. Oh, that's right. You don't compute. So I'm like, holy shit, this is never ending. Like, this isn't going to end. He wrote, trash bag wrestler, you whiny bitches. And he just keeps writing. Another comment. And the hits just keep coming. And then I put the picture from Anchorman, Brick Tamlin, where he says loud noises. I just put that in there. And then I was like, yo, Manny, chill. I'm like, we've wrestled each other before. I'm like, I'm training guys the right way. Like, I don't understand what your deal is. And then he writes back.
You're one of the, yeah.
He's like, I'm just having fun with you. Just relax. Have thick skin in this business. I know who you are. He's friends with Dan Moff. And he's like, I'm sorry if you were offended. Good luck and kick ass. I'm like, what the fuck? How crazy are people in wrestling that they're just trolling?
Unless Moff saw what he was writing and then wrote to him to like, what the fuck are you doing?
Probably. That probably happens.
Like legitimately, like, and then he got like, oh shit, I'm being an idiot. And
that probably is what happened. You probably just solved the fucking mystery right there. But
I'm very in tune with the world and the universe.
We were going to do a new segment. I feel like we make up segments week after week, but just touching on things this week in wrestling. It was kind of a poor timing. We're going to miss out on some pay-per-views, but the Royal Rumble just happened. I feel like it's one of, if not the most important event of the year in terms of setting the stage. Did you see the Rumble? And what are your thoughts on the old Rumble?
I saw parts of it, and on my WWE Network subscription that they don't want to cancel again.
Still going.
Still going. WWE is actually here in Las Vegas in the middle of February, sometime, maybe February 13th, I think, or right around that. And, maybe me and Mark Carrano will go get a bite to eat. Last time they were here, no joke, when they were at the new T-Mobile Arena, Mark Carrano, this was after I already walked out on them, just so everybody knows, Mark Carrano fucking texts me asking me about the weather in Las Vegas. Which, if you're
real icebreaker,
yeah, like, man, is it always like this hot in Vegas? And it was like, or it was something like it was like not even hot. It was like really like nice for the day. And I just go, no, this is like really nice. And that was it. That was all. And like, there was no communication after that. I was like, why the fuck would you? After I walk out of WWE and like, it is funny. And I don't hate Mark, and he has a shitty job, but he's a real douchebag and he knows it. So but yeah, my network will not be, I turn it on. I don't watch hardly at all anymore. And I put it on to like, because I get upset when I watch, and I'm sure Vince, God damn it, leave his network subscription on. He'll miss it. He'll come crawling back on his knees. And I'm gonna watch. I have a lot of friends there, and I enjoy it. I'm not like, I don't hate anything, and I enjoyed the parts that I saw, and it was Randy was the winner, and which that we talked about, and a lot of people will complain and be like, the WWE with Cena and Randy, how many ever years ago,
yeah,
and that just all goes back to my thing with WWE wanting to keep the name, the marquee guys, like they don't want to make any new stars, kind of, and I really believe that to an extent. But like, I'm happy for Randy. Randy was always good with me as far as our communication and whatnot. But that interview I told you about, and I won't name the place that did the interview, but they did an interview with Randy Orton. And a fan tweeted me and said, what's this interviewer's deal with you? And so I click on the article, and it has nothing to do with me at all. It's about Randy. Randy's kind of been like, I don't want to say lost in the shuffle, but he hasn't been used like he has in the past. And it happens to everybody there. There's just so many guys. And he's being highlighted again. And I say that he was the highlight with Daniel Bryan and Batista.
He's always had a good role, but he's always incredibly talented at the same time.
Yeah, but sometimes his role is a little less than others as far as at the level that he's been at.
Sure.
And but the interview, they were saying Randy was talking about like sitting around in the locker room and telling the other guys you're the best or something about just essentially not believing your own hype, and it had nothing to do with me whatsoever. And the interviewer made a mention of, he goes, like Ryback, and it had something like to imply that like that was my story.
And I think it was along the lines of believing your own hype, and if you're here, you won't last very long, and like you'll pretty much get fired, something like that.
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with my situation whatsoever. At all. But if you read that, you would have been like, that would have given you a negative perception of me. And I was just like, man, that's really poor journalism. So rather than getting angry, I reached out to the company that published the article and just like, if you guys don't mind, would you please remove this? It's not true. There's no facts behind it. And I've never met the guy that wrote it, and Randy wasn't saying that. And they apologized and they took it out instantly. But it was just like, Jesus. Like, I'm not even there now. And they're like wrestling journalists leaving shitty articles about me that have nothing to do. I'm just like, come on, guys.
And most of them, they're all up to, that's the one thing. I don't mind a wrestling journalist if they're reporting the facts. But like, and I don't mind Meltzer's stuff. But Meltzer will put his own stuff and then give his opinion on it, which is like a mixed bag of things. It's one thing to report, hey, this is what I've heard, or this is what is going on, or it's another thing to go, well, this is what I think, completely.
I think it's what happens with this is like, a lot of these guys is their sole source of income where they don't really have anything else going on. So they need to try to find ways to be creative and essentially lie to get people's attention. And that's what happens with the wrestling dirt sheets for the most part with a lot of these places, because they're not motivated to make a living in anything else. So, and
the fans don't realize that a lot of the major, publications, a lot of the major quote dirt sheets, I don't know if that's wrestling websites, a lot of them are bought and sold by companies. And I don't think fans really pick up on that. And it's a shame because we're such smart fans, but really start kind of putting two and two together. What you see, how is it that, are there so many leaks in a certain locker room that things get out online, or is that certain things are leaked and they're leaked because of financial relationships? Like, this is something I've kind of been made aware of. People don't like to talk about, but certain people are on payrolls, and that's just kind of, I think, the way it's always been, and it's smart.
WWE leaks information accordingly when they want it out there, and stuff. That's not a hidden thing.
So, Samoa Joe debuted this week finally on Raw, and but at the same time, Rollins seems to be out with a knee injury, unless it's all a kind of a fabricated work. Which
I saw that, and I don't know. I'm not gonna. Hunter's involved in that. That could be. I don't know. It could be a storyline. It couldn't be. It doesn't really. I hope for Seth. And I've talked about, he's one of my favorite opponents to wrestle. I hope he's all right, because we've seen this before. Like, I remember like Loki, he started having repeated knee injuries, and like Rey Mysterio's had, repeated knee injury. Like, once that kind of starts happening, it's tough to. Not to say it can be overcome. It can be completely dealt with, and Seth is very resilient, and but that's what, like, the Daniel Bryan thing. I always say, like, appreciate the guys while they're around, because you never know when their last week is going to be.
Sure.
And it really is a real thing, and we get accustomed to seeing guys week in and week out, and hopefully it's just all a storyline, and Seth is all right, and he comes back at WrestleMania, and comes back and does well. So, but that it's scary if that's not, and it's another surgery and whatnot. It's rough mentally, just mentally to get over that quick.
Sure.
After having that's not an easy thing. I've had one knee injury, and I've been fortunate over the years with my knees. But I believe it's the PCL, and it kind of controls your side to side movement. I know Jericho has torn his, and you don't need it.
That's a PCL, you said, right?
PCL, yeah. When I came back from my staph infection, my right knee, that it was all blown up when I had the IC title, and it was like they were getting ready to I felt like we were going to take the title off me, if I wasn't able to come back that week, and I was just doing my best with visualization and meditation, and I woke up one day and my knee had gone down considerably, but I still had swelling in it. And I came back, and I hadn't wrestled in whatever it was, like a month. And I came back, and we just put me back in, and everything was fine. But I was wrestling Big Show on the live events.
Okay.
And that's very stressful because he's a very big guy, and he's a giant. And like, in picking him up for the finishing move and just doing anything, it was always stressful just because, and like just being beat up at times. And it's one thing on TV to do it in adrenaline, but like night after night, it's not like picking him up for like an AA. In the shell shock position, it's like a good morning more than anything, and that's a heavy good morning. But we did a thing where we were working, and I would go for the splash, in which he would catch me in the choke slam from the ground, and I would like land on my knees. And one night, I landed really weird. I don't know why it happened, but my knee, it was just the swelling in the right knee was still there, and I tore my PCL on the spot.
Oh.
And Big Show always used me to like hold on to me, and I would help him get up from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he holds on to me, and I grab his hand, and we go to I'm like on my I have like a wide stance, and I try to pull him up, and
Okay.
my knee is just wobbling, he almost falls over. But we get up, we continue everything. My knee feels like really loose, and I'm like, damn it. Anyways, I go to the back, and it was a PCL tear. We just taped it up for a month. I think 4 or 5 weeks of taping it up really heavily. And I just tried, anytime I would throw like a kick in the corner or a boot, like my knee, I'd feel it like shifting in and out. And I just quit doing that. But like eventually it like scarred over, and I'm totally fine now.
So you never had surgery on it?
No.
Oh, wow.
And but you don't need to. Like PCLs they're not.
I've heard that before. Yeah.
But like if I do like planks on my side, like for my right side on my planks for like core stuff, my nerve in my leg gets agitated because I feel like my knee pushes out on the side because nothing's holding it in. So like on that sort of stuff I can't do. But knee injuries are no joke. So Seth, I really hope he's all right because I would just hate to see him go down. But it is cool Samoa Joe is up there, and I wish him the best.
So we're going to move on to the topic of the show. We talked about this earlier. I think it could make for an interesting conversation, which is what this show is all about. And we're going to talk about finishers in wrestling, or more particular, what way did you have it? Something about finishers?
Are finishers dead in wrestling? Because I feel like after watching and being up there, a lot of guys don't protect their finishers anymore on the independents and in wrestling. In WWE.
Yeah, I mean, is that by choice? Like, here's the thing, though, because you mentioned this. I didn't even notice this before, but you said that you were kind of, you protected yours, that only one person kicked out of it. And now, was that your choice, or was that, how, basically, like, why is that happening? Is it because of talents don't do that, or?
Yeah. So only one guy's kicked out of my finisher, and that was Big Show on Raw. I believe it was Nashville.
So no one else ever has, really.
No one ever has. Yeah,
I didn't know that. Wow.
And I believe you shouldn't let anybody, and you should save it for very, very special moments.
Okay.
And it was directed to me that Vince. It was during my heel run, and I was wrestling Big Show, and Vince. This was during my punishment period where I was really getting punished. And
punish him.
Vince always laughed at when I don't punish people. You sure as fuck have a really weird way of not showing that. And it was directed to me that Big Show needed to kick out of my finish, and I go, well, nobody's kicked out of my finish. I don't want that to happen. And they go, well, it was from Vince. And I go, whatever. And I was just so fed up. And it was Big Show, and I like Big Show. So and he was being built up to put over Randy when Randy had both the championships. And that was the only time. But like you watch today, a lot of guys will just use their finishing move for a kick-out spot and whore their finishing move out rather than just be creative and think of a different move to do or something. And part of me thinks it's part laziness, and I don't know. I think it's Because if you look at guys like, and I remember me and Miz used to get into arguments over this because Miz, and I love Miz, and he would just throw, he's like, I remember I was working him one, he goes, kick out of my finish. And I go, why? I go, just hit me with something else. Nobody's going to know the difference. And I go, just protect your finisher. He goes, Austin and Rock did it all the time back then, but they didn't do it right away. They did it at their big WrestleMania matches when they needed some go-tos in there. And like, everybody now is treating every pay-per-view like WrestleMania as far as kicking out. And like, now, like, you're not working the psychology of a pay-per-view match up to WrestleMania. Like, not that every WrestleMania match is going to get to do that, but like, eventually Cena's going to have to drop a guy from, a helicopter to get with his attitude adjustment to get the win. Like, he's just like, I just feel it's a lack of creativity. And I think that's the one thing in wrestling, your finishing move, and then you save it. Like Undertaker, how many years did guys not kick out of the tombstone?
Yeah.
I think guys are just, I think that it's an easy way. Guys are so concerned with getting a pop and getting a reaction rather than just wrestling and waiting and getting it on one spot at the very end, like the actual finish. That's all you need to get. And like, guys are too caught up on having attention throughout the match, or women.
No, I wonder if there's something to that. I think that way a lot too, where could it be that, maybe once you get to a certain point and your finisher is established, start introducing another one that maybe, you can, dare I say, bastardize once in a while, or more so than, keep one, have that be that special one, but start, if you have the opportunity to be, pushed or be put in a spot where you're victorious night after night, that you could beat a talent with a different move and condition the people to, believe in that and have the backup one. I think a lot of it too, I've always been a big fan of, and they brought it back a little bit, but I think a big problem is that there's just not enough enhancement talent in terms of establishing just a clear, my finisher works, do it once and that's it. And you see people kind of, trade that not just on pay-per-views, but you see it on Raw too and SmackDown, that people kick out of each other's stuff. And
part of me too is like, I am open to the idea of wrestling evolving. And like, I told you when I worked Moose and I talked to him for a little bit, and like, he was talking about, and I call it no selling, and he called it fighting spirit. And essentially, and the reference that he used was Rambo getting shot in the shoulder and like, but firing up. And I totally get that. My thing is, well, what happens when you get a headshot? You get shot in the head with you got guys no selling headshots left and right. Okay. I'm not talking about body, like you take a body part move. That's one thing. And I'm open to like, an old school wrestling is one way and new school wrestling is another way. And I think you respect both. But, and I get body part selling, and WWE producers have always advocated not shutting down when you get kicked in the leg, and like of it, keeping that fighting spirit. But like, if you take a headshot, you shouldn't pop right back up to your feet. You shouldn't. And that's my thing, because if you take a legit headshot in real life, you don't pop back up to your feet.
Or not just a headshot, something involved, like, I don't know, some sort of major, not even major, but like, did you have a particular cutoff spot that I feel like all good baby faces have it, that you relied on, that kind of worked for you, that involved that, or was it something different? Everyone has their go-to kind of things, right?
The old shoulder post in the corner where I fell out of the ring was a good go-to. But I would always flop around, and then I would do double or triple it up usually.
And mine's the old skin the cat, and then when I turn around, I just get clotheslined over the top rope. That was always my go. That's my go-to.
Nothing wrong with that.
And but I see what you mean. That's pretty interesting. I actually had a list. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I just think that people need to be conscious of that, and we've talked about that before with independent guys and WWE guys, and I just think finishers need to be protected a little more. And I know Vince at one point sent out a memo of no more kicking out of each other's finishers.
Okay.
This was after WrestleMania last year, maybe. And it lasted for maybe 2 pay-per-views, and then guys started it all over again. And I don't know how it got it's just like I don't know if he forgets or what, but it's I think it's an easy way out. I just think guys, I don't know. I think if you save it for the big ones, and I know we have a lot of product, there's a lot of product out there and whatnot, and it's hard, but like just be creative. You don't always have to throw your finisher away. I think that save it for the really big ones. And I think for some guys, they look at it, well, this is my biggest match right now. And they're not looking ahead at all either and whatnot. Like, well, what are you going to do at WrestleMania then when you're booked on that possibly and whatnot? So it's just something to think about.
And something I stumbled upon, which I'm having a really fun time kind of clicking on different things.
Wait,
I think.
You know what just came to me that I know we've never talked about?
What?
And it just came to me. Did I ever tell you about me and Big Show almost getting in a fight?
No.
At a live event on, it was me, when I had the IC title, me, Miz, and Big Show. And I love Big Show for everyone out there. Mm-hmm. And he is a fucking giant. And I will say, like, any fight with the Big Show is going to be a rough fight. He's just such a large human being. But me, Miz, and him did a triple threat match when I had the IC title. And I like, and I don't like exposing things like and whatnot, but fuck it, who cares? And Show, we didn't talk about a lot going into this match. Me, Miz, and Me and Miz were trying to think of some stuff. Big Show was on his bus, and he came in and he was like, well, what do you guys want to do? And it was like, we didn't have that much time. And it's a live event, so he doesn't want to bump a lot, and rightfully so. He's a giant, and he's beat up like anybody who's spent any considerable time wrestling. And he hates Miz, so he doesn't want to sell any of Miz's shit. He likes me though, so me and him are good.
Okay.
But we don't put hardly anything together. We have I think we have the finish, and it's not like you could just scoop Big Show up for a power slam when you want, and you gotta he doesn't. You got to know the bumps that you're going to do to him beforehand because he's the Big Show, and if he wants to take a bump, he'll let you know the bump, and it's probably going to be a pay-per-view if he's going to do the bump.
Yeah,
at least the big one or a TV, and from Vince. And we go out there and everything was fine, but I was mad because I had the title and I wanted to go out there and kill it. And on live events, I took a lot of pride in those, having freedom to go out there, and I had a lot of success on live events. And I didn't think the match was as good as it should have been, and because I knew the effort that was not put into it. And so afterwards, Big Show promised me that we would all get together and kind of get a chicken bone format, get a little bit of a format going into the match. And so the next night, me and Miz in gear, we're about 15 minutes before bell time, we're opening match on the live event. No Big Show. Nobody's seen him all day. Okay. And the producers, they come to me, they go, have you seen Big Show? I go, no, why would I? Well, you're working him. I go, I don't pay his bills. I don't tell him when to be here. And it was a Sunday show, so I think he thought it was usually Sunday shows were 5:30 or 5 o'clock. And on regular weeknights, on Friday, Saturday, they were 7:30 shows.
Okay.
But Big Show's bus is in the parking lot. So I go with Miz. I go, let's just assume we're having a singles match. We'll go out there. This is blah, blah, blah. And we were good. Big Show comes walking. They go knock on his bus. We thought maybe something bad had happened. And so I wasn't angry up before this point. I was more concerned, what's going on with Big Show. And then the producers came in and they go, Big Show's fine. He was sleeping. And I go, fuck. And when I get mad, I get mad. Yeah. And so Big Show came walking in with his gears. With about probably 5 minutes before the match. And he goes, all right, guys, what are we doing? And I was hot, and he knew I was hot. And he goes, oh, you fucking hot? And he got an attitude with me. And so I got an attitude back with him, and which insinuated in an argument. Okay. And then Joey Mercury, of everybody else just standing there, and Joey Mercury came running in, and ran to Big Show of all people, and I'm just thinking, when do you come to me to try to stop? Because I feel like you might have more success maybe trying to stop me than Big Show. But I already knew with Big Show too. I know when he gets fired up, his fist will ball up, and he like gets ready to punch you.
Really?
And I saw his fist was fucking. It was all fucking coiled up, ready to go.
Oh,
and
boy.
I was just watching it like a hawk. And but we almost came to blows over a live event. And we laughed afterwards, and we went out there, and everything was fine. And he knows. It wasn't because I don't like him. I have very high goals with everything, and me and him could do. We've had great matches on live events, me and him, and we did afterwards. We always talked and everything, but it was always one of those. It's one of those moments you look back on, and I'm actually like really happy it happened because it made us closer afterwards. That
cool.
But he's a good guy, man. He really is. I understand his frustrations too on a lot of things. So,
and I give him credit. He in the Rumble, it was nice to see him cleanly like just get eliminated and help someone out. You know, there was no ego there. It was just nice to see that.
He's never had an ego. He has always done what is asked of him, and I respect that a lot. And it's like Kane. Kane's the same way. Kane will always do what is asked of him, and a lot of people will think, well, that's the right attitude. And it's not a wrong attitude by any means. And I always did what was asked of me. I just have goals outside of wrestling that are a lot bigger for me that are more important to me. So, but he's such a good guy, and I just thought that was a funny story.
We were talking about finishers and stumbled upon this, which we had a couple laughs with. I think they're worth going over. What do you think? I don't know if we start with the best or the worst. What are the best finishers ever in wrestling? Or do we start with what are the worst finishers ever in wrestling? Because the best ones are easy. We can easily rattle off things. I found some doozies of some of these finishing moves. I keep clicking on them. They're so entertaining.
You want to know what bothers me? Why the curb stomp was banned with Seth Rollins? What was the deal with that?
It's an easy thing to I'm assuming that Vince thought it was too dangerous to the head or neck area. It's an easy move to take.
Every move in wrestling is to try to harm your opponent. Every move, the psychology is to knock out your opponent. You could say the knockout punch is a punch to the face. Like, I don't get how the curb stomp, every move, the RKO, is a move driving your face to the mat.
But did he believe like it was very dangerous to get curb stomped? Was that what it was?
I don't know.
That's what I assume. That has to be dangerous. Like your face is going to get hurt from. I don't know.
That's the pussy society we live in today. If they adhere to it because of that, like fuck, that's horrible. Like I feel bad for Seth on that because that was a great finishing move.
It was a great move. How do you feel about something like the Styles Clash? With there's been.
It makes me nervous every time I see it. To be honest,
same thing with me.
I don't know why. But Yoshi Tatsu I know had the broken neck, right?
Yoshi Tatsu. There's another guy. Roderick Strong. That one was the most gruesome one. I don't even think he got hurt, but it looked like there was one with Roderick Strong, who's now in NXT, where it looked like he fucking died. It was
really,
yeah. It's really, and people are like, oh, they're just taking the move the wrong way. It's like, AJ's one of, if not the best worker on the planet, but. I don't know, man. I don't know. Sometimes it's like, I just hope it doesn't happen again. I hope that doesn't fucking ever happen again.
Yeah, I think it's because it's a move that he does it later in a match, and he's a strong guy and he knows how to do things well. But the move, the setup, there's so much room. Like there's a lot of room for error in there. Like when he's loading up the guy, if he doesn't have you hooked around the right positioning on the legs and your head is sitting a little lower, and like I could see how that could be a problem.
Yeah.
And whatnot, especially with bigger opponents. But it's also up to the opponent to protect themselves. And
well, most moves were kind of a lot of moves. You're used to tucking your head into your chin as opposed to looking backwards.
One, you want to be looking.
You have to look backwards, yeah. Which is kind of like opposite. That's what happened to Tatsu. Tatsu was for some reason, tucking his chin and instead of looking backwards.
Fucking stupid. That's why.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love it. I love him, but everybody I've just heard time and time. I've not heard. I used to hear good things about him in developmental, and then after WWE, everyone it was just bad story after bad story, and I go, man, I've never heard more bad stories about another fucking wrestler than him, and he's never done anything wrong to me. Or
just
anything,
kind of aloof and kind of an alien, right?
Yeah. So it doesn't shock me, and I don't wish that on anybody. That's horrible. And but he's back wrestling, I believe, right?
I believe so. He's one of the Bullet Club Hunters, which is kind of, I don't know.
What is that?
I guess they fight the Bullet Club. I don't know. I'm not that caught up with it. I know he's one. I know Billy Gunn's another one, but he's in New Japan.
Okay.
So. But
you kind of limit yourself when you name your faction after just another group.
Yeah.
Of like you limit your beefs. Like you're not going to go after another group if you're the Club Hunters. Like what the fuck are these idiots doing? They're supposed to be going after the Bullet Club.
So I really want to talk about some of these moves and get your opinion. How did you feel about the Yeti hug? Have you ever seen this maneuver?
I'm sure I've seen it off the top of my head. I can't. It doesn't sound like one of the most over finishes in professional wrestling history, though.
It pretty much was a clip of the Yeti walking to the ring, and I think Hogan and the Giant I think the Giant has Hogan in a hug, and the Yeti reaches his arms around and hugs them both. But there's some real great finishers in here.
Vince loves bear hugs, by the way.
Really? That was Bruno's finisher, wasn't it?
Yeah. And anytime you see a bear hug on TV, it's usually per Vince. Get him in a bear hug.
Wait, is that really a thing? He'll request moves or not?
I swear there were different points when I was told to throw a bear hug in there as a heel.
Come on.
No, I'm not. I can't. Pat, I can't. Okay, if you know me, I don't just fucking make stuff up to make it.
That's so particular, though. Like,
yeah,
tell him to put him in a fucking bear hug. Really?
I swear to God, I would get it a lot. And then if you go and watch any of my old matches as a heel, I would go side to side with the bear hug to really wrench it in. Yeah. Fuck me. I swear.
I believe you. No, I believe you. I didn't know that was I never would have thought that agent like put him in this particular move right now, especially a bear hug.
I'll ask Mark, Paul, and Vince on our meeting when they come here for Vegas, February 13th, what the fuck the deal is with the bear hug.
Another maneuver on this list that I forgot about was Sergeant Slaughter's Atomic Noogie. Do you remember that one?
I do remember it partially. It was that later on?
I don't know if it was his finisher, but he had them kind of like a chin lock in a seated position, and he just wrapped his head, his arm around the head like a headlock, and just gives you a noogie. And I don't know if people submitted from that, but that was his move.
I think that was more of a signature thing, maybe.
I think so too. I don't know if it was a finisher. It doesn't seem.
I don't remember that as a finisher. Yeah, there's been in wrestling, man, Pat. There's been so many weird finishers, though. If you look throughout the history of wrestling.
Yeah, I'm getting a kick out of this list. Like Bastion Booger's trip to the Batcave, where he literally just stood over you, drops to his knees, crotch to the face. I
feel like you couldn't get away with that in this day and age of social media.
Also on this list is Byron Saxton's Saxtonation.
Poor Byron Saxton. That was the move that moved him to commentating, I've heard.
It's not a bad move, but you kind of grab like under the chin and kind of like a Cobra Clutch, but not really. You don't have the arm hooked. And then you go all the way forward and then all the way back and kind of take a side effect bump like Matt Hardy. But that was, I didn't know that move existed, but I think it's funny that's on the list. I like Byron.
Yeah. No, Byron's a great guy, great human being, one of the nicest human beings in the world. I'm sure he eats so much shit from Vince up there on the headset. Oh, I
can imagine.
I can only imagine the poor guy. Like he's such a great human being.
Also on this list would be what else we got here? Kelly's Kelly Kick.
What was that?
So the person would be on all fours, and she would kind of step off their back and then give a leg drop to their lower back area.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Cool.
Wasn't really an impressive maneuver. My computer just froze. God damn it.
That gives me a great idea of what I want to do for a move now.
Step off someone's back?
Off their back and give them a splash on their back.
Jesus Christ. I mean,
that's you got to step on their high back. You can't step in the mid-low back. You'll break their back.
Mojo Rawley's hyperdrive is on this.
Oh, by the way, he reminds me of a modern day fucking Mongo McMichaels.
Really?
Yeah. He wear same tights, the biker tights.
Okay.
Football player and just out of place.
Oh man. See, I was a big fan of Mongo. We both were fans of Mongo.
But we liked Mongo because, well, first of all, Mongo was great entertainment, one way or the other. Like,
sure.
I feel like Mojo's better than Mongo a little bit.
I think they're comparable, man. I think they're comparable.
Yeah, you might not be off on that. Mongo Luger matches, we would sit around and watch those on the WWE Classics on Demand, and those were some of my favorite moments in the lowest points of my life of like just laughing with really shitty wrestling.
It's funny, like, you know, the Dave Meltzer gives like the star ratings. A lot of Mongo matches would get -1 star, -2 stars. I did appreciate his finisher being the tombstone. One of the
yeah. Like, no, I was gonna you mentioned that to me earlier. We were talking about this before we went live with this, and I go, think about WCW, how fucked up it was at that point in time. I go, no wonder they went out of business. I go, you get Mongo McMichaels, the most dangerous finisher in wrestling, the fucking tombstone, to do to your roster. This guy, and I've heard nothing but great stories about, like, as far as being a great human being.
I'm sure.
But he was not the greatest wrestler, and he was a pro football player for his whole life. So it's understandable. And, I get it. But, you give him the tombstone, dropping a guy on their head and neck and trusting him with that. And as far as I know, though, he never hurt anybody. So clearly,
he was a master of that tombstone. Taped his fingers really cool too. I noticed that.
That's something that not a lot of guys. Mojo, if you're listening to this,
tape your fingers.
Tape your fingers. Tombstone pile driver, brother. That's the fucking ticket.
Maybe did he carry a briefcase too? Was that
briefcase? And I would like to see a feud with Goldberg at some point with
over the Battle Bowl ring.
Yeah.
Or no, the Chicago Bear ring.
Yeah.
Super Bowl ring. Fuck.
That would make the writer's job really easy. Just rehash. Pretend fucking Mojo won a Super Bowl. Just fucking lie. Just fucking he won it with one of the fucking years with the Patriots and his friend fucking, what is it?
Gronkowski.
Yeah, and fucking just rehash a fucking old angle. Compliments of the big guy.
Oh man. So on that note, we're 90 minutes into this thing. You think we should wrap this thing up?
I love you giving the time still to piss off that one guy.
It's like, why does it matter? There's a lot of podcasts like, oh, you can't, don't say this, don't talk about that. It's like, hey man, just fucking say whatever.
It's our show. We're allowed to talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
And based by the listeners, we're going up every week. I feel like as a whole, we're doing our job.
Yeah. You know, everything's going well. But that's all I recommend this list. It's on reddit.com, the worst finisher wrestling rankings.
Before I ask you this question,
okay,
I was going to say, I'm thinking about next week we're going to implement on the podcast. I'm going to give a special discount code to feedmemore.com for everything on feedmemore.com for the people that listen to the podcast, and provide a special code starting next week. Just wanted to throw that in there. But for you, what are some of your favorite finishers that we're talking about this?
Oh, we're still going. I don't know about favorite. I just think that I've heard this before. What do you think is the most over finisher of all time? I still think it's Jake's DDT because it's how I can't think of a finishing move that was cheered for ever.
And I don't think it was ever kicked out of, to be quite honest.
No, was it? No, I don't think so.
That's another reason why. Stone Cold Stunner is
that's
up there.
The one that people say is like number. I say DDT. No one ever chanted for the Stunner. People would just be like, the move was as over as Jake. So that was just my theory.
And and I think a big part of that is nobody ever kicked out of it. Eventually, Austin was he was up there when there was too much product, when they had to start wrestling on TV more, and then he had to start doing it more and more and more and more. But like, I think though, like once you let guys start kicking out of your finish, the move starts becoming less over.
Yeah.
And it's a fact. And you could argue it all day long, but that's my opinion on it. I think the RKO, how many guys have you seen? By the way, to compare Cena to Orton, Cena letting guys kick out of the attitude adjustment. Orton, very few guys have kicked out of the RKO in comparison to the attitude adjustment.
Okay.
And I think the move is the most over move in wrestling today, as far as. But and shell shock, obviously. Is there anything else that comes off the top of your head? The Goon had a hell of a finisher, huh?
Holy shit! I didn't remember this, but the Goon. What was the name of the move? I had it before.
Had to be some hockey reference.
Yeah, it was like, oh fuck, I lost it. But he basically had you outside the ring. He just stood you up, and then he just ran a short distance and forearms you in the back, and then you hit the apron. It was like a hockey check. I don't know what the name it was called, like the timeout or something. I forget. But
I feel like the timeout was probably exactly what it was called. But
I booked the Goon in like 2012. He did 2 or 3 shows for me. Yeah, Bill Irwin from fucking Duluth, Minnesota. Which I'm like, this will be fun. Something random.
If you don't mind me asking, what was his rate? Are you not allowed to discuss that?
You could. I just think that
let's not. Let's not go there.
But let's just say this: the flight caused. It didn't seem so bad, but then we saw that he's from Duluth, and a flight from Duluth, Minnesota, is pretty shitty because it's not direct, and But he worked. He worked as the Goon. So if you want to work the Goon, let me know, man. I can make that happen.
Oh no, I wanted. I just think it's really. If your finisher is his, did he get the win based on a count out then?
I don't know. I'm going to watch on the network tomorrow. I'm going to see what the Goon won with.
Or YouTube. I'm going to look it up right after this podcast and see. Because what a way to a shitty finish. You hit your move and then you got to do a 10 count. And it's just really flat. Finishers, man, I told you Backlund's book. His finisher was the atomic leg drop. Finishers have evolved from what they were to that's just a regular move you do in an opening spot now. And whatnot. And eventually, 50 years from now, we're going to have to be on a 100-foot scaffold and just dropping guys off to get a near fall.
Yeah.
But that's what we want. I wanted to wrap up this week's episode, though, with another fitness tip. And we got to continue the dating stories of the big guy looking for love, obviously, next week. I feel like that's a highlight of every week. But this week, the fitness nutrition tip from the big guy, guys. If you want to get in better shape and kick your metabolism into high gear, burpees. Look them up online, burpees with the full squat. And adding 25 a day to your routine will help you tremendously get in better shape. And then once you get comfortable with them, adding 5 a day to eventually where you can do 100 a day, you will be a machine. But 25 a day minimum, and you will enhance your life greatly. But look them up online. And if not, maybe the big guy will have to do a video for the proper form. But a full squat should be included before you drop down into the burpee position for the push-up, eventually into the jumping in the air. But add 25 burpees into your routine, guys, and it will help you tremendously.
All right, and that's that. WrestleProOnline.com, CreatorProWrestling.com. Big thanks to Eddie, who edits this show, and all his hard work in making this show great. And I'm Buck Never Stops across all platforms.
And again, I'd like to say thank you to Eddie and thank you to Mark Carino, part of the one half of the Heavenly Bodies. You guys have helped me out a lot, so thank you. I am Ryback22 on Twitter, Ryback247 on Snapchat, and the big guy, Ryback22 on Instagram. Thank you guys for listening. You have just listened to another episode of Conversation with the Big Guy.